It's about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about money. Okay, you want to know something about women? Here's a quick little knowledge for you. Women are the largest consumer, right? Get them working, get them earning money, you get them spending and give them right back to us as quickly as possible. Black Cadillac, coupe, Cadillac roof, black Cadillac, out of that booth. Really that dude, black Cadillac deuce. Hop out the map, black, all black crew, my black Cadillac. Okay, guys, I got another video by Finding Sky. Title is How Modern Feminism Scammed a Generation of Women. Okay. As soon as I read that, I was like, bet. I have my thoughts on this kind of topic, you know, on feminism, how it really it actually made the world much more difficult than it needed to be. It put men and women in the same jobs. Now we're competing for the top roles, and now we're all working. Now we're having a hiring issue because the world was never supposed to have this many people working in the first place. I have no problem with women working. Don't get me wrong. I do have a problem, though, with us competing with jobs with one another. I don't think men and women should be competing with each other. I really don't. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. And I think it just F's up everything. And when they decided to do that, where we're now competing for jobs or we're competing for education, it's now everybody is not marrying, right? They're struggling at jobs. They're struggling to get homes, right? In general, everything is struggling. And I'm not saying it all has to do with feminism. It's actually a very complex topic, I'd say, but it definitely did not help. Anyways, let's start the video. Let's get it popping. I'm very curious, actually. Very curious.
One second, feminism is demonizing men for objectifying women, and in the next, it's encouraging girls to sell their body on OnlyFans so that men can objectify them. I mean, which is it? Are you sexually empowered, or are you a victim of oppression? I used to consider myself a feminist until I realized that women were using it as a means to justify going out like this and then complaining about being called hot. Shorty, have you seen your own ass? I swear to God.
Facts. Based.
The women are the only ones that can spend 2 hours doing their makeup and picking out an outfit and then still say they don't want to be judged on their appearance. Girl, you literally pulled up your leggings to your third rib and gave yourself the ultimate wedgie. We know you didn't dress like this for you. When you look at the actual definition of feminism, all it is supporting women having access to equal rights. I'm not going to sit here and call myself an anti-feminist as someone who agrees with the core definition of feminism. But the problem is that the word has evolved to mean something very different. It's not just about women's rights anymore. There are other ideological strings attached. A major concept of modern feminism has been encouraging sexual liberation. This was started partly due to the double standard around sexuality for men and women. When a man frequently engages in casual
Jesus. I'm sorry, this girl talks so fast.
He's considered a stud, but when a girl does it, she's considered a slut. Sexual promiscuity leads to less.
Okay, let's pause this there for a second, girly. You're just talking a mile a minute. You're giving me a lot of info. A lot of info she's giving us, all right? You're giving me a lot of info. Just let me take a minute, okay? Figure 2, the relationship between sexual history and marital satisfaction. Yo. Look at that shit drop, buddy. Yeah. You know, in a lot of the red pill podcast space, they'll actually say that the higher the number for body count for men, it doesn't matter as much, and it's a lie. And I never liked hearing that talking point. Now, for me to clarify, when it comes to red pill, they tend to go too far in extreme, but sometimes they have some solid talking points and solid reasoning. Now, when they say, yeah, when the body count for women is so high, they will have, problems connecting with you. I don't disagree, but for many reasons, I agree with it. Actually, yes, yeah, absolutely, for sure. You're connecting with multiple men. You're dating multiple men. You've been around all these guys. Comparison, this, that. It's like you limit your options so that you can make a better choice. It's like places like Baskin and Robbins. They got 31 choices, but if you look at their stats, people oftentimes choose between like the top 7. So that's also just. And if you want to just take that into your life, probably don't go above 7. Let's don't go above 7 mates. And then for men, it's the same thing, just slightly different, and it doesn't happen as quickly because we just don't biologically operate the same. But the same thing will happen for men. It gets harder to connect. I've seen it in my own life where I see men who've dated a lot. They struggle to connect for long-term relationships. So yeah, this chart is very true, and I'm glad some women are starting to see it and also believe it because it's true.
Satisfaction in relationships for both genders. Just because it's more socially acceptable for a guy to have casual sex doesn't mean women should be trying to match that expectation by normalizing it. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, no. Don't try and compete with us in that. It's just like it's
and
stupid.
Promoting a destructive behavior under the marketable guise of sexual liberation is abhorrent. It's so interesting how women constantly complain about how shallow and objectifying their relationships with men are, but then promote hookup culture, which directly encourages this exact transactional process.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's like you're really just giving into the male urge. You know, when you're saying, yeah, it's fine, liberate your body and all that. It's like, yeah, just give it to the men. No problem. Give them exactly what they want. Because at their base level, instinct too is just sex. So it's like, yeah, here, yeah, we'll give it to you, no problem. Here, I'll hold it. Yeah, we're taking back the patriarchy, right? Not to the men who are getting all the intimacy and all the sex. Come on, they know. If
feminism actually cared about women as much as it claims to, the movement would be encouraging them to be more selective about their sexual partners. It would be educating them about the negative.
Okay. What is good for you? Gender differences and motives, emotional outcomes. Following casual sex.
Negative effects of casual sex, since we know that it leads to decreased relationship satisfaction, loneliness, and depression. And look, I know people are going to take this.
Of course, it makes you feel used. There's no connection. There's nothing there except for just, oh, you know, I got my walls dug out. And then for the men, it's like, oh, I got my rocks off, and then you leave. It's like getting that what do they call it? It's that word, post-nut clarity. There we go. It's been a while.
Is me trying to tell women how to live. That's not what I'm doing at all.
I haven't been in the streets for a while.
All the freedom in the world to live exactly how you please. However, where I do have an issue is when a cultural movement is built on a foundation of lies. If you're going to have an entire movement, an entire ideology who claims its very goal is to benefit women, then encourage behavior that actually benefits women. At one point, this movement had genuinely pure intentions. It's the reason I have a right to vote and work and be educated. Feminism changed our lives as women for the better. So I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like now it's doing the complete opposite. It's a common feminist position to be anti-tradwife. They insist that tradwives have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they've fallen in love with their
tradwife, traditional wives, right? That's a tradwife. Tradwives are traditional wives. I've heard of tradwives. All right. Yeah, they're the ones who are talking about sometimes about like turning butter and not working, being at home and taking care of the kids, cleaning the home, cook for the husband, all the traditional stuff. You know, husband goes out and makes all the bread, you know.
Their own oppression.
That kind of thing.
Claiming that it perpetuates traditional gender roles which have held women back. But I thought what actual feminism was supposed to be about was supporting women's freedom of choice. That means supporting them if they choose to climb the corporate ladder and supporting them if they choose to be a housewife. I thought the whole point of feminism was to respect a woman's freedom of choice, even if it's not the choice we would personally make. It was to recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all lifestyle for women and that they should be able to prioritize what's important to them. Feminism will argue against this by saying that choices don't exist in a vacuum and society impacts your ability to make autonomous decisions, but you can make that exact same argument on the other side too. I could sit here and tell you that your decision to be a feminist is because social media has brainwashed you into believing that women are oppressed. So your choice to be a feminist isn't a real choice at all, but instead a reaction
my baby's awake
to your cultural environment. You can run in circles forever trying to make this argument against either side. That's because it's a dumb argument. Who are you to assume that another woman's choices aren't autonomous? The mere assumption of that is actually quite anti-feminist of you. This is the female version.
The idea is just do what you feel is best for you in your life, right? That's I mean, I'm definitely the type like that. I don't care what you do, just don't impose what you want to do onto my life, you know? Do you over there?
Right? Sneeko calling everyone who disagrees with him a bot. You're accusing grown women of being incapable of coming to their own autonomous conclusions. That means you're doing the exact thing that you constantly accuse men of doing to you. Maybe some women like traditional gender roles. That's cool. Let them do their thing just like you're allowed to do yours. I'm the most masculine woman I've ever met. I should be the first in line to be championing the end of traditional gender roles. But I'm not like this because I'm resisting the patriarchy. This is just a part of how I am. I like buying stocks, playing with boobs. I'm just a chill guy. WAP. Women against porn. Except in today's terms, it means wet ass.
Lesbian? I don't know.
But with modern feminism currently preaching sexual liberation, it may be surprising to learn that at one point it was the complete opposite. In the 1970s, anti-pornography was a growing part of feminism.
Yeah, that's genius. Corn, I believe you're supposed to see on pornography. So silly. is absolutely a blight on society. It should be illegal, and it f's up the youth for sure. Adults too, serious issues with it. Incels, f's up marriages, relationships. I think it even for like before you, if you get involved watching it before puberty, it can f you up going into relationships. Although I've never thought about that. I mean, when I was young, I had seen some pornography and stuff of that nature, and when I started dating girls and stuff, I never once thought, yeah, I seen whatever fucking King Kong dangle swinger, whatever you want to call him. I saw him do that move where you swang through the room and landed in it, and then you floated out that bitch. I not once thought I wanted to pull one of their moves. Not the crazy ones, anyways. But I'll say, and honestly, the positions, anyways, going crazy. I'm gonna stop there.
And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense because it's consistent with the core values of feminism to demonize the objectification of women and stop the fetishization of sexual violence against them. We know that porn is overwhelmingly aggressive towards women. We also know that consumers are more likely to commit acts of sexual violence, less likely to intervene if they witness an assault, and more likely to objectify and
Pornography leads to an increased likelihood for women to perpetuate violence.
Humanize women. Porn is seriously bad for both genders, but especially women. So to see the feminist movement.
Interesting. But I was always under the impression that women watched it a lot less than men. I could be wrong, though. Never looked into it, but I'm curious.
Glorify platforms like OnlyFans and other adult content feels like a
yeah, glad she said that. Mainly because of, like, I think that the majority of subscribers to OnlyFans are men, right? Or is it just women aren't just dumb enough to go pay for it when it's free everywhere, right? Who knows? Men are pretty stupid.
Complete slap in the face. How can you possibly complain about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then objectify yourself for profit? I don't understand how modern feminists have come to this conclusion. Actually, that's a lie. I do understand. I completely understand. Because it would go against the sexual liberation movement. It goes against the sex positivity narrative. But one honest look at the statistics and it's blatantly clear. There's nothing liberating or positive.
I'm going to assume she's doing these drawings. She's pretty good. She's good.
About this industry. So what happened? Why did the anti-porn feminist protests stop? This article explains it perfectly. Anti-porn feminists were labeled sex negative in an era of feminism that was heavily influenced by liberalism. Individual choices, as opposed to mass liberation, became the forerunning feminist agenda. If that doesn't perfectly encapsulate the modern feminist movement, I don't know what does. The current movement wants all the ideals of feminism without having to sacrifice anything for it. The movement doesn't want to give up porn. It doesn't want to give up casual sex. That would be infringing on my personal freedoms.
Listen, I'm gonna boil it down so simple. It's about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about money. Okay, you want to know something about women? Here's a quick little knowledge for you. Women are the largest consumer, right? Get them working, get them earning money, you get them spending and giving right back to us as quickly as possible. Okay, and men buy things too, just not at the same rate. Women just like, you guys like stuff, you know, you guys like all these pretty things and all these little trinkets. Men will buy stuff they like too, but typically it's like practical things they're going to need and they only buy it for a while. Then when it breaks, then they'll replace it. They might even try and fix it on some weirdo shit like myself. I'll try and fix almost anything that breaks before I replace it because I'm frugal and cheap. But women like to spend money. So what happens is that, you know, you guys will work, right? Just like the government wanted you guys to push that feminism, get it out the door, get these women to write these books because we want more money. It's about taxes. It's about getting money from you guys. Work your life away so we can walk away and drink champagne. What do they say about rich people? My kids need champagne, more wine for my children. You know what I mean?
But maybe true liberation requires some personal sacrifice of those beloved freedoms. You can't eat a pound of cake every day and expect to lose weight. Your goals require a sacrifice. The issue of equal pay is another primary subject that feminists bring up. It's also probably the #1 most misrepresented topic in feminism. The gender pay gap does not exist because of the patriarchy oppressing women. The pay gap only exists because women are more likely to choose lower paying jobs. If you compare a man and a woman working
based, she knows the truth. This is true. There's no lies being told in this video right now.
At the same place, in the same position.
Break it down,
with the
shorty.
same amount of experience working the same amount of hours, the pay is exactly the same. But when you compare the average income of men versus women, there's obviously going to be a gap. This is because men choose careers like car mechanics and truck driving, whereas women choose careers like teaching and nursing. A quick comparison of these incomes, and it's easy to see why.
Although nursing pays pretty well. Out in Canada, nursing is like one of the highest paid jobs around.
Why there's a pay gap. It's not misogyny that creates this gap, it's just preference. Women have all the freedom in the world to go be an automotive.
You guys, women are being lied to just so much. It's so crazy, right? It really isn't about, a pay gap. We just do different work. Men pursue money for different reasons. Shit, men pursue money to get ladies sometimes. How many women do you think are out there working for money to get men? 0%. They don't do that. It's weird, right? Not happening. So we pursue money and earnings for totally different reasons. Women will get a paycheck and just spend money to go travel. Then we'll just save up enough money just to relax. All right, daddy's duty called. I had to go bring my youngin to my wife. Youngin was hungry.
But that's not
the boy was hungry.
What each gender wants to do on average. So from the outside, when you show the statistic of the gender pay gap, everyone's jaw drops and jumps to conclusions about sexism. But if you just look a little deeper, it's easy to see why it's there. If you're a woman and you're unhappy with your salary as a teacher, go be a truck driver. It is actually that simple. Something I can't stand about the feminist movement, and really many other modern movements, is how evasive they are to taking responsibility. If you're not happy with your pay, change jobs. You don't have to make it a political movement. You don't have to find someone to blame. You can just do something to change your situation. You can't really talk about feminism without also talking about the red pill manosphere space. This is because they respond to one another culturally. The red pill purports that they have the solutions to these modern feminist problems.
I will be honest. Now, I'm not red pilled, right? I'm not blue pilled at all. I'm definitely not blue pilled of any sort. I don't want to cling to any of these terms that they got, right? But I'm none of these things. I'm not a term of any sort. I'm a Muslim man, and that's one term I will own, right? And that's it. But some of the red pill's ideologies or talking points, I said earlier in the video, they aren't that bad, right? In my opinion, they're not that bad. It's just sometimes, depending on who's listening, they're going to interpret it incorrectly. Now, when I was listening to like these podcasts, like what's his name, like Rollo Tomasi, Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, all these guys who are coming up in these spaces we were talking about, I was already well into my adulthood. I was like, I don't know, I'm 33 now. These guys, I give them 5 years tops. I had already dated, had long-term relationships, girlfriends, blah, blah, blah. I understood how to navigate. So when they were talking, it's like, oh, I want to listen to it because some of the stuff these guys are saying is based. I agree. You know, I've used some of these ways that they're going about dealing with women. The way that they're talking about dealing with women, I would use some of their same methods. Sorry, method was the word I was looking for. The same methods. Now, when it came down to the extreme stuff, like having to sleep with like 50 women, with like Myron Gaines would say that, or leverage and these kinds of things, and needing curated Instagram. Some of that stuff I took anyway. You know, I'm actually going too far with this, but the red pill is it's a weird space. I feel like it's not somewhere you should go if you have no experience with women, because you're not going to get what they're saying, and you're going to fumble it so bad.
Spoiler alert. They don't. The red pill solution is extremely unrealistic for the majority of both men and women. The red pill has this idea that women need to just skip college and go back to being housewives, except that most of the men saying this would never be able to afford that lifestyle. Homie, you don't even have the career to be able to pay for the lifestyle of the woman that you want. The red pill will blame women for failing to fulfill their feminine roles without even recognizing that as men, they're failing just as badly.
Listen, one thing too is that the red pill does say is that you don't go play above like your lane. You know, like if you're looking for a woman and you got a relatively regular job, you know, or you got a good job, she can go work part time. This is how I would, if I was in a red pill kind of place, and I was trying to explain to someone who wanted to have a somewhat traditional wife in a modern time, and they're not no big banking in, right? You get yourself a good job, one that you can work overtime, and there's a high ceiling for where you can get. There's a high ceiling for success, right? There's plenty of levels where you can get a raise or yada yada. And then if you want your wife to be, you know, she needs to earn some money because you can't handle all the bills yourself. She works part time, right? She's at home mostly. She only works for the things that, the small little things in the house, whatever you guys want to discuss about that. She handles, I don't know, diapers or whatever, right? She handles most of the child rearing. You guys discuss it, what would work for your relationship. I'm not no big baking it, but for basic description of my own life is because I wanted to feel more in my traditional masculine role if I could, like handling the majority of the bills. I do. And that was part of the discussion. Like, I'll handle the mortgage and I'll handle the larger portions of the bills and you handle the smaller portions. I can't do it all on my own. If I could, honestly, I would. I cannot though. So we discussed it in this kind of role. That's what I would recommend anybody do. Talk about what you guys want to do. If the man wants to handle the majority of it, let him handle it. If she, don't tell him not to work, because honestly, idle hands is the devil's work. You want her to work a little bit, right? Do some part-time work. You waste some money just for you, and then if you want to buy something and you need a little extra money, sure, I got you. You can have a little money, right?
Fulfilling their masculine ones. I really don't think that the red pill's idea of expecting men to be able to afford supporting an entire family on their one income is realistic at all. I think in theory the traditional family dynamic is a great idea and would
depends on where you are. Some parts of the world it's far easier. This side of the world, no,
make
not
very
really.
happy, healthy relationships.
Really.
But in modern times, less than 1/4 of men will ever be financially capable of achieving such a feat. In today's economy, the trad lifestyle is reserved for only the most prosperous men.
Why? And then the thing is too, when you have all that kind of money that you're talking about, these guys oftentimes, these women are doing other things, or they're not stay-at-home wives, or the husbands aren't even around because they're so busy earning all this money. So it's like not even them really fit this archetype that you guys are talking about, because they themselves are not actually traditional. Because traditional families of earning men were not wealthy men; they're just normal men. Right? Just normal guys.
But yet the red pill preaches it like it's the majority solution. Pew Research shows in 2022 only 23% of households had the husband as the...
Not true. They mostly preach to do what works best for you, right? As long as the man is the one who is really navigating the rules or the way things are going to play out,
sole provider of income. That means 77% of women were contributing to household income. Most guys just aren't out here making enough money to support himself, a woman, and kids. And in today's economy, I would say that's pretty understandable. What I don't see the red pill talking about is how a lot of women would love to adopt the traditional lifestyle, but there's just not enough prosperous men to go around. Given an alternative, many women might very well...
No, there actually isn't. I think there's a statistic too about this, about most good men are going to be married off by the time they're like, 35. So that's why some women, they start struggling around that time to find a good man, because if they are indeed a good man, they've already been, swooped up by some woman that they're probably dating. Realize, hey, that's a good nigga. If he proposes to me, I'm definitely jumping on his ship for sure. So that's what ends up happening.
Choose to be a housewife. Feminism might be the only movement that can get away with constantly complaining about how oppressive it is to be objective.
Limited supply of good men and women, but more men, because
objectified and then simultaneously
nature
objectify themselves. The problem is that this movement wants all the benefits of feminism without any of its consequences. Say you want equality until you realize that means splitting the bills, unclogging the toilet, and having to kill the spider. In modern relationships, it's common for the financial theory of the woman to be everything he makes is ours and everything I make is mine, rather than both partners contributing equally, which is what feminism claims to want to do. There's a book called Sexual Utopia and Power by Roger Devlin that sums this up perfectly. The modern woman wants all the benefits of a traditional marriage but is unwilling to pay the costs. She wants a man to marry her without her having to marry the man. Some feminists are even demanding that there be quotas for women to be in executive positions, but they never talk about there being quotas for women in bricklaying. It's clear that modern feminism wants all the benefits of something.
That's funny. Women are doing that kind of stuff, man. Even men don't want to do those kind of fucking laborious jobs
without any of its sacrifice. Let's be very clear. That is not equality. That's privilege.
All right, good job, Shorty. That was a good video. I like that. That was she had a very based opinion. I believe that is a term people use. I used it a few times already. I like it. I think it just means grounded. She has very grounded opinions on stuff, and I think she was pretty accurate on most of it. Some of the stuff about red pill, I feel like red pill is a bit of a tricky place to really understand, because I think you already have to be slightly red pilled in the first place to like get what they're saying, but not to like just take it as like gospel. It's not gospel. It's like you hear what they're saying. Okay, it's like, like don't pedestalize a woman. Absolutely. There's plenty of young men, even my own self. I remember growing up, I've pedestalized women before, and you get comments like, "Oh, I don't know why he likes me so much," and stuff of that kind of nature. So it's like, oh, that's what they mean. That's why you don't pedestalize women, because it's just going to throw off the game. Don't let her think she's better than you and those kind of things. It's like, yeah, well, you shouldn't do that anyways. Treat people equally as to your own, especially if they're treating you a certain way. Equal that, buddy. I would say that you shouldn't let yourself to become too far infatuated with a woman where you're all head over heels for her and she's not doing the same for you. That's crazy. But anyways, guys, tell me what you think of the video. Leave a comment below. Hit the notification bell, so you can see when the next one's coming in. And I think that's it. What I said is leave a comment, like, and subscribe. This, that, the other. We're good. Thanks for coming on by, guys. See you guys in the next one.